Okay, so we were just learning about the halacha is your house is personal space. It's a very personal space, and there's something meaning your house is your personal space, your friend's house is his personal space, and you're not allowed to take anything from your house to somebody else's house without having erev chatzeres. But your yard is not considered as personal space. You don't store your things there, and even things that are there aren't left there permanently. So because of that, yards are not considered very personal space. And therefore, you're allowed to carry from your yard to your neighbor's yard without any type of erev. It just from your house is where you're not allowed to carry. So I was looking at the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Shina and Beis.
You don't hear you.
Are you losing me again? How about now?
No, yes.
Okay, so the internet is a little wonky.
Yosy Sinon, you've been clear all the time.
Right. I think where David is, the internet isn't perfect. So by shutting off the video, it saves a little bit of bandwidth and makes it a little bit better. So in Sivkot and Gimel, the Mishnah Berurah says the Chol Elu, when you're talking about a yard or a carpet for a roof, not inside your house itself, ein tashmishon miyuchad v'tader. It's not used as steadily. Lefichach ein bahen chilek rishus. We don't look at them like they're such distinct individual rishuyas. We look at all the chatzeres together as one big area. Umuter letaltel me'echad lechaverai b'li erev chatzeres. Therefore, you'd be allowed to be metaltel to carry from one yard to another yard without any type of erev. Surely, in your yard, you're allowed to carry anything in your yard from one place to another place. You're allowed to go from one chotzer to the next. Even though there's no erev at all, you're allowed to carry around in your chotzer and from chotzer to chotzer. So the only reason why you have to make erev chatzeres is not so that you can carry things around in your chotzer or carry things from your chotzer to another chotzer. The only reason why you have erev chatzeres is so that you can carry things from your house to the chotzer, because your house is considered very personal space. Your chotzer is somewhat communal space, and to go from the house to the chotzer is a problem. But kalim that started off Shabbos outside, something that's left outside, that was left outside, those items you're allowed to carry on Shabbos without any type of erev chatzeres. Now, just to be clear, erev chatzeres doesn't mean walls. You do need to have walls around, but you don't need the shituf. Erev chatzeres is where you take some food and someone put it into one of the chatzeres, and one person is coined it on behalf of everybody else. So everybody's a shutuf in all the land. That would not be necessary to carry things from chotzer to chotzer. That's only needed to permit you to carry something from inside your house out to the chotzer. Okay, so now that we have that akdama, it'll be a little bit easier for us to understand today's Gemara. So we are at the bottom of Kuf Lamed Amud Beis, and we started off with an interesting statement that the Gemara was looking for the meaning to it. So the statement that we started off with is at the bottom, about 8 lines from the bottom, Omer Rabba bar Ravua Omer Rav. Mavui shaloi nishtatfu boy erev chatzeres. In bottom. And mavui, that there was no erev chatzeres done. So there's 3 levels of personal space. There's your house, then each house opens up into a chatzer, and then there would be multiple chatzeres that open up into a mavui. So what would be the halacha if no erev chatzeres were done? Which means people are allowed to carry around into chatzeres, like we learned, but you cannot carry from houses into the chatzeres. So the halacha is, if no erev chatzeres was done, if no shituf, movi shulun nishtatfu boy, there was no shituf and mavuyis. So people within each chatzer make an erev so that you can carry from your house into your chatzer, and then all the chatzeres that are opening up to the same mavui, they'll also make another shituf to join all that, to allow them to carry in the mavui. So you had a mavui that they didn't do that shituf on, but irvu chatzeres and bottom. So each of the individual chatzeres made an erev chatzeres, but they didn't all do one huge shituf mavuyos so that all the people in the whole mavui should be connected. They only did the erev chatzeres. So then the halach is ein metaltlim by the mavui. Since the mavui there was no shituf done, so therefore in the mavui itself ein metaltlim by ela b'dal ramas. We treat it like a rishus harabim, and you're not allowed to carry something more than 4 amis in this mavui. But loy iravu chatzeres in bottom. But if none of the individual chatzeres made an erev chatzeres, so nothing was done at all, then in the mavui mutar lataltal kuloi, you're allowed to carry around the whole mavui. And we need to understand what's the difference. Omer le Rab Chanina Chuzah le Rabba. Rab Chanina Chuzah told Rabba, Ma'ishna. What's the difference? Let's see if we can get the difference. Let's see if we can get the explanation for this interesting difference that we learned. Kir Irvu Chatzeres and Batim. Why is it that it makes a difference if the Chatzeres made an erev that you cannot carry in the mavi, but if a Chatzeres did not make an erev, then you may carry in the mavi. So Zoktamar Ki Irvu Chatzeres and Batim. When the Chatzeres connected with the bottom because an erev was done, and now you're allowed to carry from houses into each chatzar. The nesku chatzeres, the nasabot. Why is there a problem carrying the mavi? Because what happens is once you make the chatzeres an erev once you make an erev chatzeres, now you're allowed to carry on Shabbos from the houses into the chatzeres. So now the chatzeres are like bottom, and if the chatzeres are like bottom, they're more personal space. Naturally, they're separate from the mavi, and you cannot carry the mavi. For Rav l'tamei, and Rav holds his shita. Tomer Rav ein hamaver nitui belecha v'koiri. The only time you could carry the mavi through the heterim of a lechi or a koire. Again, a lechi is a vertical beam, a koire is a horizontal beam, and you put that where you enter from the Rosh Hashanah into the mavi to identify that this mavi is no longer Rosh Hashanah, it's a distinct space. So that only helps Rav. Achi Yehu Batim v'Chatzeros Psuchim Loi. The only time a mavi will be nitter is if it has multiple Batim and Chatzeros open to it, because that's exactly what a mavi is. There's multiple houses in each chatzar, and there's multiple Chatzeros that open up into the mavi. And Rav holds that a mavi will not be mutter to carry in unless it has multiples. And Rashi tells us multiple means shnei batim psuchim l'shnei chatzeres. The minimum amount of properties that have to open up to the mavi to allow the mavi to remain combined with it with an erev as Rosh Hashanah is only if there's 2 houses and 2 chatzeres. So you need 2 chatzeres, 2 batim each, a total of 4 batim. So 2 batim open up into 1 chatzer, 2 batim open up into a second chatzer, and those 2 chatzeres open up into the mavi. If you don't have that, then the lechi and the koyer in front of the mavi will not help. Here I have houses because I have all my houses that made the erev, but I don't have chatzeres. And the reason why I don't have chatzeres is because once you make the erev between the bottom and the chatzeres, so all the chatzeres now become part of the bottom, and we look at it like one individual entity of bottom. So you don't have chatzeres. So if I don't have chatzeres, a minimum of 2 opening up into the mavi, according to Rav, I'm not allowed to carry that mavi. But if that's the logic, if that's the reasoning, so then kiloi irvu nami, even when I didn't make erev chatzeres and I didn't combine the houses with the chatzeres, l'chzinu lahani botim command estimudomi. Let's look at the houses that open up to the chatzeres as if they're severed from the chatzeres, they're sealed off, and the reason is because since there is no erev chatzeres, you cannot carry from the houses to the chatzeres. So if that's the case, look at the houses like you're out of the picture. The chatzeres ika ubatim leka. So now you have 2 chatzeres opening up to the smavi, but the houses that are connected to them are not connected to them anymore, because since there's no erev now, they're separated. So the problem is we don't understand the reasoning for the halacha that we learned on Amud Beis, and that is a mavi is only a problem to carry in it if there was erev chatzeres done. But if there's no erev chatzeres done, there's not a problem carrying. But we don't understand this. There should be a problem either way. So tomorrow, no. After the mevatli le reshusa dechula legabechad. The halach is if they didn't make erev chatzeres, so you have five houses that open up into a chutzner that didn't make an erev. Because of that, nobody is allowed to carry from their house into the chutzner. But if everybody says to Reuven is one of the batim. Reuven owns one of the batim. If Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar all tell Reuven, we're mevatel all of our property, we're mevatel to you, Reuven. So now Reuven, it's all Reuven's property. Then Reuven is allowed to carry everywhere because now it's not multiple reshuyos. Now Reuven has an ownership in everything. So frek the Gemara, efshir de mevatel reshusa de chulu legabechad. It's possible that everyone, in the case where there's no erev, the reason why the Mavi is not a problem is because if everyone is mevatel their reshus to one guy, so now the houses are not severed anymore from the chatzeres because that one guy can now carry from houses into the chutzner because it's all his reshus. So the Gemara, was this the Chaim Tzvi?
Is this actually legal? Like, is the Gemara saying that somebody is going to be mafker his house in order to carry on Shabbos? Like, practically speaking, nobody would do something like that.
It's done. It could be done sometimes if there's if we need to carry, they could do that.
But is it truly? Is it truly? How should I say? I don't even know the word.
Is it like being mafker? Is it like being mafker?
Right. Is it really legal? Like after Shabbos, you could tell the guy, everybody get out of your house. It's my house. You were mafker it.
Oh, so I misspoke. I'm not being mafker my house. I'm being mafker my rights in the chutzner. So we have a communal chutzner. I'm being mafker my rights in the chutzner to you. So let's look at Rashi's lesson. Rashi,
and could you take it back? Could you take it back then?
You could take it back mid Shabbos.
Oh,
and we'll see that in a moment. So Zok Rashi, all of the other people who share this yard with me could be mevatel rishus sheyesh lehem bechotzer. My rights to use the chotzer, I could be mevatel. So I'm waiving my rights to use the chotzer. I'm waiving it to you. L'gabechad b'nayu. We can all waive our rights of hishtamshus of this chotzer to one of us. Which would create the impact that now all of the rights to this chotzer belongs to one of the neighbors, and therefore umuter lahotzi b'beis l'chotzer, and that one neighbor will now be allowed to be moitzi from his reshus to the chotzer.
And the key to my answer is that this can always be reversed.
Yes, it could, and we're going to see in a second. If everyone's mevatel their reshus to one person, it doesn't solve any problems because soif bayisika batam leka. Now, if it's all one reshus, so then it's only one bias opening up into the chotzer because I'm the only one who has rights now to the chotzer, and then that chotzer is opening up to the mavi. Again, I don't have what I need in order to be matir carrying the mavi. So tomorrow, after, and this is what I was referring to, Chaim Tzvi, after the mitzafer vat palga diyayma legabechad miflege legabechad until noon. Let's say that everyone is mevatel their reshus in the chotzer to Reuven, and mipalga yoyme lepanya legabechad, and in the afternoon we'll all be mevatel our reshus to Shimon. So you see, this goes. It could be a temporary bittul harishus. So then you have two people. There's two batim because in the morning it's Reuven's bias, and in the afternoon it's Shimon's bias. So tomorrow soif beidna deisa lahai less lahai. There's no one time where there's two batim and two chatzeres that are opening up into a mavi, and therefore it's going to be us. So we still don't have a reason to explain why there should be a difference between whether or not there was erev v'chatzeres done or not. Why should that impact the mavi? So El Amar Abashi, it's a whole new reason that has nothing to do with the Rav's halacha that you need to have two batim and two chatzeres. And this rule that you need two batim and two chatzeres is in fact practical and not technical. Meaning we don't look at the ownership and we don't look at if it's combined, if it's not combined, if an erev is made, if it doesn't made. We just need to know that the area is B'Metzias. B'Metzias, there's multiple chatzeros here, and B'Metzias, there's multiple houses that connect to them. The lumdus of who owns what is not relevant. As long as the physical structure, the geography is such that there's two chatzeros opening up into a movi, and each of these two chatzeros have multiple houses opening up to them, that will be enough to allow shitufim avoids. Elo Amar Rav Ashi, mi goram lechatzeros sheyesru. But what caused the chatzeros that they should become osir? It's only because there's houses there. Because houses are what makes the individual distinct rishuyas, because that's where it's really private rishuyas. Veleka, but if there was no erev chatzeros done, then there's no bottom here because they're out of the equation. And let's see Rashi, who explains it beautifully. Amar Rashi, taimo lav mishum bottom v'chatzeros psuchos l'soichai hu derav bein irvu bein lo irvu mikivan de psichi shtei chatzeros l'movi u'shnei batim acholechad teres movi alav v'nitter b'lechem b'koyer. We're not looking for any lumdas. As long as the physical properties is such, the geography is such that you have two batim opening up to a chotzer, and there's two such chatzeros opening up to the movi, that's good enough. Behind the time, the reason why there's a difference between Erev and not Erev is the irvu b'chatzeros. The reason why, if they made an Erev by chatzeros, but they didn't make shidufim boys also taltaboy, the chiloivu shari is because migor mechatzeros yesru ala mavui latzricha shituf. Why is it that you need shituf mavuyos in order to allow everybody to carry in that mavi? It's the bottom who the garmulai. It's the fact that there's personal homes in these chatzeros. That's what creates the problem for the mavi. DYLive mishum bottom havalu chatzeros umavi rishus achas. If it wasn't for the fact that there are personal houses over here that create separation, the chatzeros and the mavui would have been one big rishus. We perceive that as all one big rishus, one big shared space. The Rav, the Amr Lahamilsa, Krab Shimon Svirle, Rav, who's saying this halacha, the halacha that makes a distinction between if there was erev chatzeros done or not, and if there was erev chatzeros, you may not carry in the mavi. But if there was no erev chatzeros, you may carry in the mavi. That's following Reb Shimon Shitted Amr Be'ervin, Gag, the Chatzer, the Karkaf, the Karfaf, and Mavi, Kulam Rishus Achasin. All of these spaces are considered one Rishus. They're not personal space. They're more communal space. We look at all the Gagas, all the Chatzeros, all the Karfifos, and the Mavi as one big space. And therefore, Metaltlin Mizelazeh. And by default, you'd be able to carry from one Chatzer to the next, from the Chatzer to the Mavi, from the Mavi to the Chatzer. We look at it all as one big space because it's not super personal like your houses. And Rav said halacha Reb Shimon, but v'hu shaloi irvu batim in the chatzeros. That's only if the batim were not mu'urv with the chatzeros, so they're considered separate from the chatzeros, and all the chatzeros and the mavi are one big entity. Then you'd be allowed to carry. Why is that important? Because the loshchichi mani the batim b'chatzer. If there was no erev chatzeros done, then you're not allowed to keep. You're not allowed to take anything from your house on Shabbos and put it into the chutzner, like you looked in the Mishnah. You're not allowed to put your things from the house into the chutzner if there was no erev chatzeros done. So because of that, there's going to be a real red line in between your house and the chutzner. Your stuff is going to be in your house, not in your chutzner. So your chutzner is very much communal space and is combined with the mavi. If there was no erev chatzeros, that means the bottom and the chatzeros are sort of severed because you can't carry from one to the next. Then shari, then the chatzer is considered mixed with the mavi. The havalahu kamosh nishtatfu boy dami. The haval kamosh nishtatfu boy kama. The mi garim loy lemavi loy aser ulitztorach l'shituf. What's the whole reason why the mavi requires shituf? It's only the separation of the bottom garmulai. Since the houses now flow over into the chutzner, if you had made erev chatzeros, that will create a separation, a virtual separation between the chutzner and the mavi, which is very public space. Right? The houses, if there's no Erev Chetzeres Tam, the houses aren't there. The houses are separated from the Chatzar because you cannot carry from the houses into the Chatzar. And therefore, as if they were Shituf done because they were never separated. Once you have Shituf and Mavuyos, so then it's all one big happy family. So again, by default, the houses are sort of virtually severed from the Chetzeres. Why they're severed? Because you cannot carry from the houses into the Chetzeres. So the Chetzeres is this quasi-public space. So is the Mavi, so is the Karfif, so is the Gag. So we look at it like one big space, and you're allowed to carry from Chatzar to Chatzar, from Chatzar to Mavi. It's one big area. But the moment you make Erev Chetzeres, now the Chatzar becomes my personal space too, because you're going to find my Kalim in the Chatzar, because I'm allowed to take Kalim out into the Chatzar, but not in the Mavi. So now there's sort of a separation between the Chatzar and the Mavi, and therefore I can't carry in that Mavi anymore until I make Shituf and Mavuyos, which now makes the entire neighborhood into one big happy family.
Yosy?
Yes.
So just to clarify, so we tracked the original explanation of Rav, and we go with this, that this is what it means. It means more of a physical.
That's right. So the halacha that Reb Shimon said that the halacha that Rav said that in order to have this whole issue of Shitum and Vuyos is only if it's structured with at least two chetzeres opening up into the Mavi and two houses into each chetzer. That means geographically it has to be the way. Okay. We're not going to look at the status halachically. So was it one rishus, not one rishus? That's something that we don't pay attention to, as long as geographically that's how the neighborhood was set up.
Got it. Okay, sure.
Thank you. When there's no Erev Chetzeres, then the batim are not part of this mix because they're sort of severed from the Chetzeres. Okay, that takes us out of, we had a small exposure to an Erevin issue, and now we're getting back to our Shabbosdik issue. We can relax. Erevin, the difficulties of Erevin will come soon, in about 20, 30 blot, but for now, that was just a sneak preview to let us know that we got to buckle up for Erevin.
Teaser.
I'm sorry?
A teaser.
That's right. So we're going to go back to what Rabbi Eliezer said. Rabbi Eliezer in the Mishnah said that machshir mitzvah, like for a bris, you're allowed to even cut the wood to make coals to prepare the metal to make a knife. That's how much preparation is allowed on Shabbos for a mitzvah. Don't think Rabbi Eliezer says this everywhere. Loi lechol Omer Rabbi Eliezer machshir mitzvah deichem is Shabbos. Rabbi Eliezer didn't say this regarding everything. Why is that? Because I'll show you a place where he needed a special limud to teach you that it was Doicha Shabbos. So clearly, it's not by default that any machshir mitzvah you could do on Shabbos without any restriction. Shtei alechem is the carbon of wheat flour that's brought on Shavuos. There were two breads that were brought. That's a chayvus hayoyim. It has to be brought on Shavuos. Rabbi Eliezer, and the fact that they're doicha Shabbos, Rabbi Eliezer only learned that elam gzeres shava. He needed a gzeres shava. Why would he need a gzeres shava to learn something that he says is by default across all the Torah, that you could be machal Shabbos for machshir mitzvah? But the fact that he needed the gzeres shava shows that it doesn't apply everywhere. And we're going to get down into the details where it does apply and where it doesn't apply. Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, how do you know that for machshir shtei alechem it's doicha Shabbos? And I believe Rashi tells us that means cutting the wheat. I believe Rashi says cutting the wheat. So he's talking about afia. So how do you know you're allowed to bake it on Shabbos? Nemra hava ba'omer. It says the word hava by the carbon omer, which is brought on Pesach, on the second day of Pesach. The nemra hava b'shtei alechem, and it says hava by the shtei alechem by Shavuos. Ma hava, just like the word hava, ha'amur ba'omer, machshir and doichen is Shabbos. We know that you're allowed to bake it on Shabbos, and we're going to have to discuss in a second how you know that. That also, the hava by shtei lechem is also doiche Shabbos. So how do you know that by Omer the hava is doiche Shabbos? So Rashi says, by Omer it's hainu tzira, tchina hakada, cutting it, grinding it, and sifting it. Shalah doichen is the Shabbos. All of these malachis, dar doiche Shabbos, kedarmim benachis, becharish uvakater tishbois, macharish rishus. It says on Shabbos you're not allowed to do charish, you're not allowed to do katzir. What type of charish are we talking about? Macharish rishus. Charisha is always rishus because there is no mitzvah in the Torah ever that requires charisha. So charisha by default, by definition, is rishus because there's no place in the Torah where we ever find that charisha could be a mitzvah. So just like the Torah is only answering charisha, which is an optional charisha, af ktsir, even though you sometimes find a ktsir of mitzvah, the Torah is only answering a ktsira of rishus. Yotz ktsir sa'omer shu mitzvah. So in this pasuk we know that a ktsira sa'omer is going to be mutter on Shabbos because the Torah is only answering malachas that are optional malachas. So the Gemara says there's a limit of hava from Omer to shtei lechem. Just like Omer and Pesach, you're allowed to do malachas on Shabbos in order to bring the Omer at the right time. So too on Shavuos for the shtei lechem, you'd be allowed to bake it on Shabbos. So tomorrow mufni, this gzeir shava has to be extra words. The hava needs to be extra words. The loy mufni, if it wasn't extra words, ikal mifrich, I can easily slug up this gzeir shava and tell you that you cannot learn from the Omer on Pesach to the shtei lechem on Shavuos, because ikal mifrich malo Omer shekain imotza kotzer koitzer. The shtei by the carbon Omer, if you found katfua, you don't say, okay, I found katfua, I'll make the carbon Omer out of this katfua that I found already. No, you have to cut special bedafka on that day in order to prepare the carbon Omer. It has to be cut lishma. And Rashi tells us, sheken matzah kotzer shaloy l'shem Omer, mitzvah liksar lishma. You have to cut specifically and specially for the mitzvah, for the carbon Omer. So we learned that you have to have a special ktsira. Ktsir gufei mitzvahi. The ktsir itself is a mitzvah. Toimer b'shtei lechem. Would you say that applies to shtei lechem? Shloi nemar b'em ktsira. So you can't bring a raya logically from Omer to shtei lechem, because by Omer the Torah is a makbid that the ktsir should be l'shma. Toimer b'shtei lechem shemotza kotzer eina kotzer, and therefore maybe you're not allowed to bake either for the purpose of the shtei lechem on Shabbos. So that's why, in order to be able to make the limud from Omer to shtei lechem, it needs to be a gzeir shar of a mufni. So, where are the extra words? Michti. So that's how you know you have to bring the Omer. But then it says later on, Bayom Haviyachem, which is extra. Lomali, why do you need the extra Bayom Haviyachem? Shemami no lafnuye. So at least by carbon Omer, the word Bayom Haviyachem is extra. In fact, we only have proof that there's an extra word hava by Omer, but we need to have an extra word hava by shtei lechem as well, because the Omar mufna mitzad echad lemedin u'mashifin. If I only have an extra word in one half of the gzeir shava, but not on the other half, even though I could learn the gzeir shava, but I could slug it up with a logical argument. And here we have the logical argument that Omer it's more mistaber that Omer you should be allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for, because in Matzah Katzer Kaitzer. You have to cut special for the purposes of the Omer. So tomorrow, Taviyu Ribuyahu. We have another extra word, Taviyu, which is by the pasuk of the Shtei Lechem. Let's see the pasuk inside. Mimosh v'sechem Taviyu Lechem Tnufa Shnaim Shtei Yisraelim. This Taviyu is extra. I didn't have to say it. So since I have an extra word by Omer, I have an extra word by Shtei Lechem. We learned that just like by Omer, the Machshirin are Doiche Shabbos, so too by the Shtei Lechem, the Machshirin will be Doiche Shabbos. So now lemutimai. We just had a memor that we said loy lekoil, not for everything did Rabbi Eliezer say that the machshir are doiche Shabbos. So what is the machshir not doiche Shabbos? Obviously, you meant to tell me that there are certain things that Rabbi Eliezer would hold the machshir are not doiche Shabbos. Well, we know it's not Mila. Mila is doiche Shabbos. We know Shtei Lechem is doiche Shabbos. We know Omer is doiche Shabbos. So what isn't doiche Shabbos? So if you're going to suggest that the machshir of Lulav are not doiche Shabbos, Vatani we learned Lulav v'chol machshir doiche nesa Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. So you see that Lulav is doiche Shabbos according to Rabbi Eliezer. So Rashi says, what are the mechshurim of Lulav? According to Rabbi Eliezer, you are allowed to cut down a Lulav on Shabbos. The Ella lemute sukkah. Maybe it's telling us that sukkah, mechshurim of sukkah are not doiche Shabbos. In fact, the Gemara about Tanya sukkah, the whole machshirah doiche nesa Shabbos. So Rabbi Eliezer can't be referring to that either. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe you're not allowed to bake matzah on Shabbos. But Tanya matzah b'chol machshirah doiche nesa Shabbos. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. So where are we saying that Rabbi Eliezer holds that machshirim is not doiche Shabbos? It seems like wherever we look, it is doiche Shabbos. You're not allowed to tie your tzitzis on Shabbos. You're not allowed to hang up a mezuzah on Shabbos. So this is a little bit problematic, because why is tying tzitzis on your beged considered a problem? Because it's a kesher shel kayama. So why can't I tie my knots? Why can't I make my tzitzis on Shabbos, but have in mind that right away, Matzah Shabbos, I'm going to undo the knot, and then it's not a kesher shel kayama. So why b'chalal would I ever need to violate the Shabbos in order to prepare my tzitzis? So there's different svaros that are discussed. I think the Mishabura brings down from the Magen Avraham, if I remember correctly. And when I say if I remember correctly, not if I remember correctly learning the halacha. I didn't learn the halacha. If I remember correctly what the Relevant said, because I just heard it 15 minutes ago. I think Rabbi Elvin quoted from the Mishabura that if it's a dvar mitzvah has a chashivas in and of itself. I'm sorry, that he quoted from somebody else. What he quoted from the Mishabura was a kesher shel kayama depends physically on what I'm making. I'm making a kesher shel kayama. Just because I intend to take it apart later, that doesn't make it not a kesher shel kayama. So my intent cannot undo a bona fide kesher shel kayama. The other svar that he brought from somebody else was, since I'm doing it for a mitzvah, that gives it a chashivas, and that makes it into a kesher shel kayama. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer holds the machshirin of mitzvah of tzitzis would not be allowed to be done on Shabbos. You wouldn't be able to put tzitzis on your beged on Shabbos. And the same thing with mezuzah lePesach. Tanya Namihachi, the Shavin, everybody agrees. Even Rabbi Eliezer, Shemtzayis Talisai, if you put tzitzis onto your beged, but also mezuzah lePesach, shu chayiv. That's a malacha deraisa, you're going to be chayiv. My time, what's the reason? What is taka the reason? Everywhere else, Rabbi Eliezer is matter. Vos punkt over here, suddenly, by tzitzis and by mezuzah, he doesn't allow it. There's no specified time to wear tzitzis. There's no specified time to have a mezuzah. And therefore, it's not going to be doiche Shabbos. Amar le'Abaye adrabah. That's not a svara to say that you shouldn't be doiche Shabbos. That's a svara to say it shouldn't be doiche Shabbos. Because mida'ein kavul zman, since there's no specific time for the mitzvah of tzitzis and for the mitzvah of mezuzah, well then kol shaita v'shat zmanahu. So it's not pshat, it's not kavuna time, it's kavuna time. Every single minute of every single day is kavias. So if anything, you should be able to be machal Shabbos for it. Amar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. I'm sorry. Amar Rab Nachman. Amar Rab Yitzchak. V'tei marvuna bar Rab Yeshua. Hoy DYLive kiran. So Rashi is going according to the Manda Omar now that the tzitzis is the chayvus of the beged, and even if you have it in your cabinet, you're mechuyev to put tzitzis on it, even though you're not wearing it. And since I can be mafkir, it's Rashi, it's not mine anymore, and I don't have a chiv to do it. So I can be mafkir my beged, I won't have a chiv to put it on my beged. I can be mafkir my house, I won't have a chiv to put a mezuzah on my house. And since I can do that, it's not Doicha Shabbos. Omer Mar. Now we're going to drill down into the individual mitzvahs that we discussed. Lulav v'chol machshirav doichenes haShabbos divrei Rebbe Eliezer. For lulav, you can do anything you need to prepare it. You can cut it down from the tree on Shabbos. Minolei leRabbi Eliezer. How does he know this? Minolei leRabbi Eliezer. How does he know this? Imay Omer Shtei Alechem. If he's going to learn it from Omer Shtei Alechem, where we had psukim to show that it's machshirim are doiches Shabbos, you don't have a raya from there. Shekein tzorech gavoya. Those are karbonis. To prepare for a carbon, I hear that you should be able to be Mechal Shabbos. But this is a regular mitzvah. It's not something that you're giving to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So that's a lesser level. Who said that should be Doicha Shabbos? Alam Akra, Bayoim, it says Lakachtem Lachem, Bayoim Arishon. So that Bayoim tells you that Bayoim Afilu B'Shabbos. Because it could have said Lakachtem Lachem Arishon. What's up is Bayoim Arishon? To tell you, Zokrashi, that every Yom Rishon you have to do it, meaning even if that Yom Rishon falls out on Shabbos. So what exactly would it have to do with a lulav on Shabbos that might involve a malach? If it's because of muksa, itzrich kral and mishri tiltal. Tiltal is only the rabbanon. Do I need a pasuk to be matir and these are the rabbanon? Of course not. Elo machshirav. It must be referring to the malach of cutting it down, and that's an Isur D'Oraisa. The Rabbanan who hold that these things are not Doicha Shabbos, the Rabbanan who hold that you're not allowed to cut a lulav on Shabbos, what does he do with that limud? So tomorrow, Ahumi Boile, the B'yoim Rishon is to tell you, B'yoim V'loi B'layla, to tell you that the mitzvah of lulav is only by day, not at night. Rabbi Eliezer B'yoim V'loi B'layla Minalei, how does he know that the mitzvah of lulav only applies by day? So tomorrow, Nafkalei, Miusamachtem, Lefnei Hashem Alekechem, Shivas Yomim, and we learn from there that Yomim V'loi Leilos. The mitzvah is by Yomim and not by night. V'Rabbanan, Itzrich. Rabbanan, they still need that pasuk, so you don't have it extra. Because all good at the Chamina, I would have thought Neilaf Shivas Yomim Sukkah. You learn Shivas Yomim from the mitzvah of Sukkah. Ma lahalan Yomim V'afilu Leilos. The mitzvah of Sukkah is day and night because you have to sleep in your Sukkah. Afkan Yomim V'afilu Leilos. So to lulav, I might have thought also applies by day and by night. Kamash Malon, that no, the mitzvah of lulav only applies during the day, even though the mitzvah of sukkah applies by night as well. In fact, okay, so now that I have a limud according to Rabbi Eliezer of bayoim, to tell you that you're even allowed to do machshiri mitzvah on Shabbos, so why can't lulav be the broadcaster to everywhere else in the Torah to teach you that machshir mitzvah doicha Shabbos? Let's learn everything out of lulav. They're just like by lulav, the machshir mitzvah doicha Shabbos. So too by all mitzvahs, the machshir mitzvah doicha Shabbos. So tomorrow, no, lulav is unique. The lulav requires 4 minim as part of the mitzvah, which makes it unique. So therefore, maybe only lulav it's machshir doicha Shabbos and not other mitzvahs, and therefore you need limudim for other mitzvahs as well. So Tosfos asks, the Shtei Alechem, the carbon Omer, is brought with other minim. In fact, Tosfos Aval Gav the Omer Shtei Alechem Nami Mavinim Kavosim the Yain Lanisach V'Shem L'Menachos. So they also have 4 minim. So why is that? Why are those 4 minim any different than the 4 minim of the lulav? So tomorrow, Tosfos shiny dalad minim shema lulav the ma'akvin zeseh. If you're missing one, you're not mekayim the whole mitzvah. Mashenke by the Shtei Alechem and the carbon Omer, if you didn't bring any one of the karbonis, the other ones are still valid. So they're not as intertwined. Zok tehilek gemara vayter. Sukkah v'chol machshireh doichenes haShabbos. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you're allowed to do anything for sukkah as well. Minole the Rabbi Eliezer. How does Rabbi Eliezer know that sukkah and it's machshir and doichenes Shabbos? Imei Omer Shtei Alechem. If you learn from Omer Shtei Alechem, shekein tzarech kavoya. The same reason why we couldn't learn lulav from Omer Shtei Alechem. Tzarech kavoya. Imei lulav shekein ton arba minim. You can't learn it from lulav either because lulav is 4 minim, like we said. Elagomar shivas yomim milulav. We learn the shivas yomim from lulav. It says shivas yomim in both places. Mala halon machshir of doichenes haShabbos. Just like by lulav, it's machshir doichenes Shabbos. Afka nami machshir of doichenes haShabbos. The problem with this frek Rashi is we said earlier that you need to be mufne mishnei tzadin in order to learn Gzera Shava, and that you don't slug it up with a logical argument. Here, it's not mufne, and we have a very good logical argument to make the distinction. The Gemara said, Mala Lulav sheken yesh b'arba. So how could you learn from Lulav to Sukkah, which doesn't have that, and it's not a Gzera Shava mufne? So Rashi says a very interesting halacha, a very interesting point. He says, Kivun de Gali Rachmana, ba'omer u'shtei lechem v'lulav, since the Torah already had specific psukim for omer and shtei lechem, because we had there a proper Gzera Shava that was mufne mishnei tzadin, and by lulav you had the extra word bayoim. So 3 places we already know that the machshir nadech Shabbos. So at this point, gilu milsa ba'amahu le'bechina lagimkum. Once you have 3 places that have been established that machshir mitzvah adech Shabbos, for the rest of the limudim you can get away with lightweight limudim with a Gzera Shava, even though it's not mufne. I think that's a chiddush. Zok Gemara, v'livkei rechmana b'sukkah v'nesa hanech v'negmar minei. Let the Torah just say by sukkah that machshir nadech Shabbos and learn all the other mitzvahs from sukkah. Zok Gemara mishum dekal mivrach mala sukkah shekei nahages b'leilos kaviyam. Sukkah, the mitzvah of sukkah is day and night. Lulav isn't day and night. Carbon omer isn't day and night. Shtei alechem isn't day and night. And therefore, you need psukim and limudim in each individual instance to tell us that machshir madech Shabbos. Matzav al machshir madech Shabbos. Divrei Belezer. Minalei l'Rebbe Lezer. Imo emer shtei lechem shekein tzorech kavoya. Imi lulav shekein ton arba minim. Imi sukkah shekein nahages b'leilos kavayamim. Ella, the way we know that the mitzvah of matzah and its machshir nadech Shabbos, elagomer chamisha asar michag hasukkos. We learn a limud tesvav, which we use that limud quite a bit to learn things from Sukkot to Pesach and vice versa. And we learn mal alon machshirei adoichenes Shabbos. Just like by Sukkah, we've already established it's machshir adoiches Shabbos because of the shvach Gzera Shava that we had for it. That's good enough. Afkan, so too the mitzvah of Pesach, which is matzah, machshirei adoichenes Shabbos. Same question. Let's have a limit by matzah, and matzah can broadcast it to the world. The mitzvah of matzah applies to women. And the other mitzvahs that we've discussed, sukkah, lulav, shtei alechem, omer, do not apply to women. Why does matzah apply to women? Is it not also a mitzvah to say shazman grama? So Rashi, the Gemara Pesachim teaches us, it says like soichel olav chametz shiva shamim, and then it says shiva sham teichel matzos. And we darshan kol sheyeshnei beval teichel chametz. Anybody who's included in the prohibition to eat chametz, yeshnei bekum echol matzah. He has the chiyuv to eat matzah as well. The noshim isnahu beval teichel chametz. Women are prohibited from eating chametz on Pesach. The chametz lo yisaseh bein shazman grama bein she'inazman grama chayavos lafuk sukkah. The lulav, the less nebenoshim, the mitzvah say shazman gramahu. Okay, zok gemar weiter. Shoyfer of chamachshir of deichenes Shabbos. The Rebbe Lezer. We know the Rebbe Lezer. How does he know that shoyfer is deichenes Shabbos? Ime omer. So soon the Gemara is going to ask, what's the problem with shoyfer? Ime omer shtei alechem. If you suggest that we know from omer shtei alechem, shekein tzarech kavaya. Ime lulav shekein ta'al arba minim. Ime sukkah shekein hages b'leilos kavayamim. Ime matzah shekein hages b'noshim kivanoshim. I feel like we're learning Chad Gadya, like we're building. Ella, Omar, Kra, Yoim Terua Yilachem. But Yoim, Afilu B'Shabbos. No matter what day it comes out, it has to be a Yom Terua. Frankly, more, what type of deraisa is involved in Tkiyas Shofar that I need a pasuk to tell you that I'm allowed to do it on Shabbos? Ulamai. If it's a question of blowing the shofar itself, Hatanad Vei Shmuel, Kamalechas Avoida Loisasu. Yatzos Tkiyas Shofar, Uridias Apas, Shehi Chachma Vei Malacha. Blowing shofar is a chachma, but it's not a malacha. So there's no problem with Shabbos. So why do I need a pasuk telling me that you're allowed to do shofar on Shabbos? There's no isser. Elul machshirin, it must be referring to preparing the shofar. Preparing the shofar involves yisurim d'oraisa. V'rabbanan, what's the Rabbanan going to do with this? Who are not matir machshirei shofar on Shabbos? That's to tell you that the mitzvah of tkiyas shofar is only by day and not at night. How does Rebbe Lezer know that the mitzvah of shofar is only by day and not by night? mibayoyim kippurim ta'aviru shofar b'chol artzachem. We don't need a pasuk by Rosh Hashanah. There's a pasuk talking about Tkiyas Shofar by Yom Kippur of Yovel, where there's also a Tkiyas Shofar. And there it's done by day because it says mibayoyim kippurim. The Gomer mehadadi, and we could learn Rosh Hashanah from Yom Kippur. Frekt Gemara, v'lechta v'chmona b'shofar. So let's just say shofar, the pasuk of Yovel to teach you that the machshir mardoicha Shabbos v'les ahanich v'ligmur minei, and let's learn all the rest of the mitzvahs from Tkiyas Shofar. So tomorrow, mit Tkiyas Shofar, the Rosh Hashanah, Lekal and Megmar, you can't learn from the Tkiyas Shofar of Rosh Hashanah to all the other mitzvahs that machshir mardoicha Shabbos, shekein machneses zechroinus shel Yisrael lavin shb'shamayim. That shofar on Rosh Hashanah is so incredibly unique and important because it's what's poyalois for us, hatzlacha for the whole year. So that's so choshev. I understand why those machshirin will be doicha Shabbos, but mahechet all the other mitzvahs. And with Tkiyas Shofar Yom Kippurim, which is blown to free all the slaves at Yovel, from there you couldn't learn that the machshirin of shofar doicha Shabbos lek lemigri damar tiku bezin shofar niftu avodim levateim v'sadois chodesh lebalein. That has such a significant impact. Maybe that is doicha Shabbos, but mahechatesi, all the other mitzvahs would be doicha Shabbos. That's why we had special psukim for each one of the mitzvahs. But at the end of the day, the only place where Rabbi Eliezer holds that machshir mitzvah not doicha Shabbos are for tzitzis and for mezuzah. And the reason was the Gemara said at the end of the day, it's because biyodei left care. Okay, I guess we could stop here. What time is it?
Shkoyach.
Shkoyach. It was like a shmakadaf.
Beautiful.
Tuffy.
It was a wonderful day. I love the Chad Gadya dafs that is built in Chazorah, because as you learn each step, we chaz over the free of the Gemara. So the only Gemara we really have to chaz again is the last shtickle, because everything else we chaz it already. Okay, have a wonderful day. Tzlach Rabba.
Yosy, the Gemara never veers off really.
There you are.
What's that?
The loisase should be doicha Shabbos too. It seems to be certain mitzvahs that fall under the category that you'd be mekayim on Shabbos. Because we never went back to bris milah, right? We went from matzah and lulav, right? We went matzah, lulav,
Right.
shtei alechem. I'm trying to remember.
All these things have specific psukim to indicate that you can be Chal Shabbos. By Milah it says of Yom HaShmini. By Matzah, it's we learn Chamish Asher from Sukkos. By Sukkos it says we learn it from Lulav, I think. It says Shivas Yomim. Lulav it says by Yom HaRishon. So every single parsha had a specific limud to tell you that it's machshirin or doicha Shabbos.
Well, shechting of the carbon tamid, right? It was also doicha Shabbos.
Yeah, but that's not the machshir of the mitzvah. It's the mitzvah itself.
Yeah, but if you don't have it, and that's my question. The whole point is you don't have it. Some of this is a little bit of schlepperai, excuse me. What do you mean? You didn't know Lulav? What, the boat shul wasn't selling Lulavim? Where were you for the last 5 days? Mele bris, I understand. The guy was born 8 days ago. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. He was busy taking care of the mother. I get it.
No, Rabbi Lezer holds even if you're a schlepper, you're still allowed to do machshir on Shabbos. You're allowed to leave it to Shabbos. You don't have to. It's Rabbi Kiva who holds. I see you already have Rabbi Kiva in your system. It's Rabbi Kiva Shita who holds that if you're a schlepper and you could have done it before and you didn't, that's too bad. Now we locked you out. You can't do it. Rabbi Lezer holds no problem.
My question.
You still can do it.
Yeah, so that's really my question. Is Rabbi Lezer saying lekatchila, right? He's
That's
not
right.
saying. He's saying lekatchila, and that's I think a little bit unusual that he wants you to do. Rabbi Lezer is really being the chassid. He's telling you that the
Rabbi Lezer is major chassidus. He holds the achuna for the mitzvahs and the aggressive for the mitzvah line. Sure, you're allowed to do the achuna for the mitzvah on Shabbos. Rabbi Lezer is very chassidus. His name is not Rabbi Lezer; it's Rabbi Leiser.
Leiser. He's saying it's 100%.
Yeah,
I hear.
Rabbi Lezer is very chassidus. He holds the achuna the mitzvah. You're allowed to do. Verkehrt. You know what they say. There's a shaila. Oh, it was such a beautiful shaila. What was the shaila? I have to remember this. What's koidim. If you have a choice of doing A or B, which one do you do? And the shaila was on a certain mitzvah. What are you supposed to do? Oh, yeah. The shaila was what's more important, shepping water. Right. That the Chusad asked. The Chusad asked his Rebbe, I have a choice. I have a choice between coming to the Tish on Pesach or coming to Shep the Maim Shalonu. And I can't come to both. Or maybe it was a child coming to Zois Chanukah Tish or coming to shepping the Maim Shalonu the night before Pesach for Erev Pesach.
That was with burning the wicks, no? Burning the wicks of Hanukkah. Something to do with the burning of the wicks.
I can either come to the ceremony of the Maim Shalonu, or I can come to baking the Masas Mitzvah. What should I do? So the Rebbe said, of course you should come to the Maim Shalonu. While the Chunah in the Mitzvah is the Chresef in the Mitzvah.
Right. Neres Hanukkah is merely a preparation for the wicks that you're going to have to burn Erev Yontif.
Oh, so that was a question.
I think so.
I don't remember what the question was. Here. I want to tell you something. That tablecloth is so geschmack. It mamish puts you in a good mood. Just seeing that tablecloth. It has that country feeling.
I also have a hat here. This is to remind me that I'm on vacation. I have a straw hat.
Yeah, I love it.
Baruch Hashem. It's mamish beautiful.
And just the background there, it radiates serenity.
It really does. It took a while, but it's, a person has to go on vacation. He has to have that mindset, right? Not to bring himself with. That alone takes time.
That's right.
Right? All right. We'll learn a little?
Yeah.
In a few minutes. What's this? Okay, you let me know. Let's learn first, and then we'll discuss what we want to do.
Yeah, let's learn first, and then I'll shut off the live stream, and then we'll.
No, you can shut off the live stream now. I just want to ask if you can go when you shut off the live stream. For some reason, you have to go into YouTube and shut it